Welcome to episode 49 of Max Men Talk Hockey, the only channel with 17-year-olds having the guts to interview pro and junior hockey players. As always, make sure to like and subscribe to the channel and catch us soon on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, and obviously YouTube. I'm Ben, and today we're interviewing Ryan Ufko out of UMass-Amherst. Ryan, thanks so much for joining.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course. And we're going to start with talking about your AAA experience. So talk about you, of course, coming from Long Island. We're from the area, the general area. We're from Jersey, right next to New York City. So talk about playing for Mid-Fairfield and North Jersey Avs, because that's a huge program where we are.
Yeah, so I originally started out on Long Island. I started with PAL, and then they turned into the Junior Islanders. That's what they are right now. So I played with them. That's where I first started with hockey. So I started with them until I was 10 years old. And then Ryan Haggerty, the coach at Mid-Fairfield for my birth year, reached out to my dad, reached out to my family, and was interested in me for the team. What is that? 10U, my 10U year up in Mid-Fairfield. So kind of after that, we took the jump there, and it was a really good program there. Ryan Haggerty, he played at Boston College. He was the captain there, so he knew what he was talking about. He was a great guy. And then when I stayed there till I was 14, but during my 12U year, Marty St. Louis turned into our head coach. So that was a great experience. Learned a lot from him. Our whole team did. Picking his brain was really cool, and the stuff he was teaching us at 12 years old was really advanced compared to other 12-year-olds around the whole country. So he was our coach all the way up to 14U, and then I went with Vinny Smith over to the North Jersey Avalanche for my first year, 16U, and props to him too. He was very motivated. Spent a lot of time, a lot of effort. I think we played 85 games that year of youth hockey. It was crazy, but we had a good run. Went to nationals, lost in playoffs, but my youth career was great. All my coaches were great, and that's really all you can ask for playing youth hockey. So, really grateful for all them, and we had good teams all the time, so it was really good.
Yeah, definitely. Max?
Yeah, so what was the transition from 16U AAA to the Chicago Steel, obviously in the USHL, and what were some of the obstacles you faced?
Yeah, so me going in as a 16-year-old too was definitely a jump. I know it's a jump for everyone just to go from youth hockey to juniors. The biggest thing for me was probably just the guys I was playing with. We had a really good team that year, so at the start, it wasn't a struggle, but it was definitely an awakening. And by the end of the year, it was really great and fun. But I think the most valuable thing was being able to practice against guys like Owen Power, Brennan Brisson, like Sean Farrell. And then we still had Matt Coronado, Mackie Samoskevich, and they were still second, third line guys that year. So, just being able to practice against those guys, I think that was really beneficial to everyone. And probably the biggest struggle, probably just the speed of it. You're playing youth hockey, and then you step into big boy hockey, and they're playing against 20-year-olds. So the strength and the physicality was probably something I needed to work on, and I put my focus into the weight room. But yeah, just the speed of the game was a big adjustment.
Yeah, guys like Coronado went 13th overall too, so to play against them at 16 is crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we've interviewed a lot of players from the Steel, includes Matt Coronado, Sean Farrell, Lucas Gustafson, Ian Moore, Jackson Blake. We've also interviewed Gibson Homer, who he wasn't there when you were around, but I think he came in the year after.
Yeah.
And how's it like playing with those guys? I mean, you probably knew them really well, and a lot of them are now playing in the NHL or up in college.
Yeah, it was definitely a great experience. The practices were probably even more valuable than the games, just seeing what guys do, picking their brains, seeing, how they attack certain things. Like Coronado, his shot and one-timer is great. So, trying to watch him and his shooting technique. And then, Jackson Blake, he can dance around and put a puck through a triangle better than anyone I've ever seen. So, watching him and his skill set, just competing against those guys every day at the rink and battle drills and just trying to compete against each other. We were all super competitive there, which I think was a really big advantage. So it pushed all of us to be better.
Yeah, of course. And I mean, that culminated in a Clark Cup championship back in 2021. How did it feel raising the trophy?
It felt really good, especially since the year before. We had a really good team. I think we were the number one seed then too. And, COVID happened. So that shut down the year. So I feel like all the guys returning, we were pretty hungry for it. We knew that we had a good chance to win it. And, that was kind of our motivation. So, raising that trophy at the end was really special. It was really cool. And we had a really great and close group of guys. So it was really special.
Yeah, totally, Max.
Yeah. How early on did you know you had a chance at the USHL, and did you kind of come into contact with like some of their scouts or the coach? Like, how did that happen?
Yeah, so I honestly had no idea about juniors or the USHL anything until probably my 14U year. Um, I went to the 40-man camp for the NTDP, so I knew about the NTDP and everything throughout those 2 previous years of my youth hockey career. But I knew about that. Went to the camp, didn't make it, but at that camp, a bunch of junior scouts and coaches go to that, so. I talked to Tristan Musser. He was the director of scouting. He's with Buffalo now, but he was the director of scouting for the Steel at the time. And I had no idea what the USHL was or anything about it. So I was like, yeah, okay, like just lost. And then we went to nationals 2 weeks later when I was 16U, and Ryan Hardy and Tristan were there. The nationals were in Grand Rapids, Michigan. It took me and my grandpa. It took me to nationals. They took us out to dinner, kind of explained the Steel and everything, and they basically offered me, like, after nationals, your season's over, like, do you want to come out for a week, see what it's like in juniors, like see how it is at our program, and took it from there. So after nationals, I drove with them back to Chicago, practiced for a week, just saw how it was, fell in love with it, and then signed the tender agreement to play with them for the next 2 years.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, that's sick. And you weren't drafted into the USHL, so I mean, there's some guys around here in my age group who weren't drafted and who played AAA. Maybe instead of national, they played at elite or the other AAA level, and then they get these tender agreements. So it's a little rare. But how do you adjust? And did you know about the draft, or did you go to any of the combines for the draft, or did you just like skip out on those and hope for the best?
No, I never went to any of the combines because I think most of them, like, they either host or they're basically all out in the Midwest. So I never went to any of the combines. I never even heard of them. But, kind of just like I had an advisor at the time, so he kind of got talked to like coaches and everything out in junior. So that was kind of the only lead that I had and information I had. But it really wasn't anything too crazy. Just more towards the end of my 16U year was when I started trying to figure out what I was going to do for the next year.
Yeah, totally. And with the North Jersey Avalanche, you played with now Flyers prospect Devin Kaplan, who I believe is at BU. So talk about playing with him. I mean, he's second round pick, I believe, and out of the national team. So how is it like playing with him?
Yeah, it was definitely fun playing with him. I mean, at the time he was like 6'3", 200 pounds, and we're 15 and 16 years old. So, he did pretty well, just out muscling and out winning battles with guys. But I mean, he had a great skill set too. And I remember, like, first couple weeks in, like, we all knew, like, all right, he's gonna make the national team in a year or two. Like, he was that far ahead. So I think him playing against older guys growing up and, playing up 2 years, playing 16U, I think really helped him. But yeah, he's a great player.
Yeah, that's awesome playing with someone like that, Max.
Yeah, so I was looking at some of the coaches you played for. Obviously, you spoke about St. Louis, but you also played with guys like played under coaches like Greg Moore, who's with the Marlies right now. I believe Carvel's with the Senators. So you played with some awesome coaches. Is there one that's like the most impactful in your career so far?
Um, it's hard to say because I feel like they've all really benefited me. You hear sometimes guys don't like a coach or don't have the best relationship with them, but I feel like with all my coaches, I kind of have a really good relationship. I think, right now, Carvel, I think it's really good. We still have more to build with next year. And then with Brock Sheehan out in Chicago, because Greg Moore was only there for like 2 months, and then he took the Marlies job. So I didn't get to know him too well. But Brock Sheehan, who was the assistant coach, took over that, and I was with him for 2 years, and he started out as the D coach. So I think he really helped me, get where I am today with video, and then even the assistants out there. So I mean, it's hard to pick one, but I mean, they all did a lot for me.
Did you still keep in touch with any of your old coaches after you moved on to another level, or was it kind of like they focused on their new job and you focus on yours?
No, I keep in contact with a lot of them. My 16U coach, Vinny Smith, he moved out to Long Island. He coaches the Gulls now. Same 16U, 18U stuff, but like I skate with him here in the summer. He has all college and pro guys skates, so I skate with him. I keep in close contact with him. My coaches at Mid-Fairfield, Ryan Haggerty, I keep in close contact. I've talked to St. Louis a couple times, but I'm sure he's got his hands full, so he's pretty busy up in Montreal. But even the assistants out in Chicago, Matt Deschamps was our assistant my second year, and he texts me all the time, and so it's good.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, and so switching to college hockey, I mean, how'd the recruiting process work for you? I'm going through a recruiting process, not for hockey, but for a different sport. So kind of comparing how to work for you.
Yeah. So I was pretty young. I think I was 14, 15, starting to look at colleges, but I'm from Long Island, so I only really my goal was to go in the Northeast, like Hockey East or anywhere up there. So, like I didn't really know too much about like Michigan and all the Big Ten schools or like Denver and all the Minnesota schools. So my focus was kind of in the Northeast. So I went on a bunch of visits, visit a couple Ivy League schools, a couple schools in Hockey East, and kind of just visit them, met with the coaches a little bit, and it was still really new to me because I was so young. Didn't really know too much. Like I knew about college and everything, but like not about the whole process and everything. And then, um, my advisor told me like, oh, UMass wants you to visit, and I'm like, who? Like I didn't really know anything about UMass, so we had a tournament up there. In between games, I drove over to the campus. Thought it was really nice, and then met with the coaches. They took me around campus, and kind of just that relationship kind of just started from there. Like some coaches, when you go through the recruiting process, are just like, yeah, like try to just get through it as much fast as they can. But with them, I felt like they really cared about their players. They focus on player development a lot. You see all the guys who've gone through UMass, like obviously Cale McCarr, Mario Ferraro, all those guys. So I feel like that, really helped their program and kind of gave me motivation to go there. And, especially as a defenseman, they do really good producing good D. So
Yeah, that's sick. I visited UMass too. Same thing
yeah.
recruiting wise. So got to see the massive library. Kind of sticks out like a sore thumb on the
Oh
campus.
yeah, it does.
Yeah, it's kind of weird because I didn't know about it when I visited. I just thought it was like, oh, it's a state school. I'm
Yeah.
from Jersey, so it's like, oh, it's just gonna be like Rutgers,
Yeah.
but it's smaller, and then there's just this massive library that's like 28 floors,
Yeah.
and it's like 10 times bigger than anything else, and it's just kind of weird.
Yeah. I've only been in there, I think, one time. So
Yeah,
you're not missing too much.
yeah, it's weird, but what are you majoring in there, and how do you like the classes and just outside of the hockey, how's the vibe at UMass?
Yeah, the campus life is great. Um, it's a fairly decent big school, but it doesn't feel too big. Like on campus, everything's pretty tight. It feels like it's your own town, own city, because you're in Western Mass, so there isn't too much around it. But once you get to campus, everything's alive. So I think it's a really good mix of both. Um, I'm a management major. I'm in Eisenberg. That's the business school.
Yeah,
Most of the guys on our team are supposedly really good, like business program, but most of the guys are. So we all try to take similar classes or take the same classes. So it makes it a lot easier when my whole class of 7 sophomores are going to be 6 juniors, but we're all in the same class. So it's pretty easy. I mean, we all live together too. So campus life is great. I mean, all the students, they're great fans. They show up to all the games for every sport. So it's really good. It's a great campus.
That's awesome. That's
Number one dining too.
oh yeah, yeah. I heard about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you took. I heard it was Virginia Tech a while back, and now it's you guys. So
Yeah.
yeah, I remember I was looking at the business school too, but my tour guide said that like it's impossible to change majors, and I'm like, what's up with that?
It's not too crazy. I mean, I don't know if it's different if you're an athlete or not, but I know a bunch of guys on our team are still undecided, or a couple of them changed their majors, and then we're buddies with a couple people who aren't athletes, and a couple of them they've changed their majors too. So it's not too crazy.
Yeah, I heard. I mean, I don't know what my tour guide was saying, but she was saying that like it's like impossible to like change a major. It's like you have to like really you have to like go to someone, and it's like a whole process, and it's like you have to go to like 10 different people and basically
No, it's
state
not
your
that
case.
crazy.
Yeah, I heard. I what I heard was like something crazy, and I was like, I didn't like that.
Sounds like
Yeah.
you got a bad tour guide.
Yeah, yeah. Sounds like it. Sounds like it. Yeah, Max.
Yeah, so you kicked it off pretty well your freshman year at UMass, almost a point per game, which is like insane. Was it like a compliment of like how you approached that off season, or was there anything special in that freshman year?
Yeah, I think I spent a lot of time in the off season, and I think it's a credit to the program at school at UMass. I know a lot of colleges do it, but they bring in, um, you know, some of them just bring in freshmen for the summer. But at UMass, we've been bringing in the whole team for 5 or 6 weeks throughout the summer. So we're there throughout July and August, and it's actually really beneficial. We did it 2 years ago. We'll do it again this year. But you have the whole team there. A couple other athletic teams are in and out throughout the summer, but we're there for 5 to 6 weeks, and we just work out, skate in the mornings, and then afternoon, just all hang out, kind of bond, get to know each other, which is really good. And then it also helps. We all take like one summer class since we're there, and it's online, so it helps us, knock some credits out, stay ahead of the curve that way. While we're playing games, we don't have an overloaded schedule, but I think just the working out and being with older guys, like you get to college, now you're playing with 25-year-olds, and so being with them, pushing weight in the weight room, I think was really, really important.
And in your 2 underclassmen years, was there like any memory that is like something you'll never forget, like a big goal, big play, anything like that?
Yeah, I think probably just winning Hockey East at TD Garden, stepping out, or even like listening to the national anthem and seeing how loud it was and see how many fans came out. I mean, UMass is the alumni and the fans that are all throughout like the city of Boston. Like every Boston team we play, like BU, BC, Northeastern, like half the time we have way more fans in their rink than they do at their home rinks. So kind of just seeing all the people that came out when we were at playing for the Hockey East Championship, hearing how loud they were, I think that's something I'll always remember.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, and I guess another thing at UMass is just like who would you say are like some of the best players that you play with there? And I mean, we have written down our notes that you took 15 penalty minutes one time against the University of Vermont. So also like, what happened there? Maybe explain that a little bit.
Yeah, I got thrown out. There was like a 50-50 puck in the corner, so I was not trying to reverse hit him, but like bump into him a little bit, give me some space, and his head was just down, and they said I clipped him in the head, so they went to review it, and when you get thrown out, you get a 10-minute misconduct, so you get thrown out, and then there's a 5-minute penalty. So they're on the power play for 5 minutes. So
How much time was left in the game?
It was the start of the third. Or no, there was like 12 minutes left in the third period. They didn't score on the 5-minute though, so that was good.
Yeah, thank God for that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I guess first part of my question was Like, who would you say were the best players that you currently play with, and why do you think they're so good?
Yeah, I would say who I played with at UMass probably last year was Bobby Trevigno. He had a great college career. Won almost any award you can win. Um, he was just a workhorse. I mean, he's 5'8", 160 something pounds, but he would outmuscle any guy in the corner. His compete level was so high, and he brought that every day to practice. And he was our captain, so it kind of set the standard for how practice was going to be and how we played in games. And I think that was really beneficial to why we won Hockey East last year. Um, me coming in last year, I think I played with Matt Kessel a lot, so seeing how he takes care of himself on and off the ice. Like, I mean, he's huge. Like, he's a horse. What he does in the weight room, and then just how he plays on the ice. Like, he can throw guys around, and he got lucky enough to play his first NHL game this year. So kind of just playing with him and trying to focus on everything he does and apply that to me. So I think those two guys were really impactful.
Yeah, definitely. And kind of switching gears to outside the hockey rink. I mean, what just like hobbies? What would you say hobbies are just outside of hockey? What do you like to do?
Yeah. So when I'm home, um, I love to go on the water. Um, my family, we have a boat, so me and my brother, we love to go fishing. Love to go out there whenever we can. Um, Golf a little bit, not too crazy into it, but like I enjoy going out with like my buddies and stuff or my teammates. Like we'll go out, especially when we're at school and it's nice out in the summer or spring. Um, but basically that, nothing too crazy.
Yeah. All right. All right. Nice.
Important question. Are you ever on the aux in the locker room? And if you do, what's your go-to music?
No, I'm not. But this year we all came to the consensus. We all listened to a lot of country throughout the week.
Yeah,
Like when Morgan Wallen dropped all his 30 something songs, like we were listening to
36.
that for a long time.
Oh yeah.
I played country and I got kicked off the first day. So
No, once you get older, people appreciate it a lot more. That's what everyone told me when I was little, and it's true.
Yeah. I listen to that album on the road trips, like on the bus rides
Mm,
to races and stuff, and that's just
yeah,
like because when you have the 4 a.m. wake ups and the bus leaves 5 a.m. from your school, it's
yeah, you
like
need
and
something.
you're yeah, and you're too energized to go back to sleep. You
Yeah,
kind of just have to like listen to something, so just plug that in. So that's what I use that for. Uh, yeah, and then outside of that, what would you say is a message for young D-men trying to play in college or take it to the next level?
yeah, I would say my biggest thing is probably it doesn't matter how big or small you are. With the game growing, I mean, I was pretty small. Um, throughout the end of my youth hockey career and being in juniors. Um, so a lot of people had doubt whether or not like I could succeed or not just because I wasn't the biggest guy. Um, hockey 10, 15 years ago, if you were a defenseman, you had to be 6 something and, really, really strong. But, with the game is changing, offensive minded and good skating defensemen are kind of taking over the game. So you see guys like, Adam Fox and like Charlie McAvoy and stuff, just smooth skating defensemen that can provide offense but also play defense. So, I would say there's no real straight path to college or pro hockey. Like there's multiple different ways. Whether you go juniors, whether you go prep school, whether you stay in youth hockey. There's no real rush. Don't compare yourself to anybody. So just stick with your process.
yeah, so unlike the USHL, you did get drafted in the NHL. How early on did you know you were, an upcoming prospect? Was it 1 or 2 years before? And like when you did get drafted, or like the couple weeks before, were you interviewed by teams, and how'd that go?
Yeah, so I think the first time it kind of really set in was my not my first year because I wasn't eligible of juniors, but my second year. My advisor's telling me that, you know, hopefully you're gonna get drafted. Just have a great year. Like, don't get in your head about it, whatever. Because I feel like that's the biggest thing where kids get too much in their head about it and either have a bad year or freak out about it. So I think throughout the whole year I was getting like questionnaires or having Zooms and interviews with teams. Um, I had a couple questionnaires you had to fill out right after our first weekend in the USHL for my second year. So it was definitely a process. I mean, you try not to think about it too much. I remember as I was playing, just you don't really need to. It's just bad stress or whatever. So I try to just put that to the side, just play my game. And I know a lot of other guys on my team did too. And I think that was helpful for us. It led to us winning a championship. So I think that was pretty important and really beneficial for us. But I remember before the draft, I had no idea where I was going to go. Some guys were saying, "Oh yeah, like my advisor saying they think this team's going to pick me, or this team told me that they're really high up on me," and I had no idea where I was going to go.
Yeah, and you ended up at Nashville, and if you went to camps, how did those go? How did the rookie camps go?
Yeah, so I can't go to rookie camps because
Oh, college.
of college. So they have
Yeah.
all their like European and Canadian guys go. So, but there was development camp, so I went to those the past 2 years. I'm gonna go again, and ours is first week of July. But those were a blast. You just meet the staff, meet the NHL staff, meet the AHL staff, and their whole organization, and then you get to meet all the prospects. So it's really good. It's really fun. They bring you down. You spend time in the city. You do some fun things. Like we were downtown Nashville a lot, so it's really cool. It's a fun city, but yeah, it's a lot of fun. They did a good job.
Yeah, that's awesome. And of course, before the draft, you had the combine. I assume you went. And how did that go? I know there's always the crazy interviews that we
Yeah,
always
so
hear.
we actually didn't have the combine
Oh
because
yeah, because
because
COVID.
of COVID. So that's why we were getting like interviews and everything throughout the whole year. Because normally they do all the interviews at the combine for the guys that go. So yeah, we actually didn't have the combine, but
Yeah, did you solve like any crazy questions or anything asked at you, or was it kind of just the standard?
um, there were a couple crazy ones. There was one. I think it was one of my first interviews. So like you don't really expect it. Like you hear like, oh, there's gonna be hard questions, but you have no experience or anything. So I think I forgot what team it was, but it was my second or third like interview, and the guy just asked me like, the person who hates you the most in the world, what's the one word they would describe you as? And I was just like, I have no idea. I sat there for like 5 minutes, didn't give him an answer, and I was like, I don't know.
Damn, that's
Just threw me off guard. So that
that's
was
so
probably the
weird.
hardest one.
Yeah, that's weird. It's like that. That's like the one thing NHL combines are known for. It's like the
Yeah,
weird, the weird questions and
yeah, the
the,
crazy interview.
yeah, the big combine that like everyone in America knows is the football one for the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
Like interviews, no one really cares about them. They care about like the stats and everything,
Yeah,
like 40-yard dash or the high
your
jump, broad
jumps and
jump.
everything. Yeah,
Yeah, but like in hockey, it's like the opposite. No one cares about the combine stuff. It's more of like the interviews, which
yeah,
is kind of weird, but it is what it is. I've heard some other like wacky stuff from some other guys. Max and I've interviewed.
Compare yourself to an animal.
Yeah,
yeah. I
yeah,
got I got that one. There was one team that asked like, I'm sure if you ask most guys, they'll give you the same questions, and they had the one team, I forgot who it was, but they asked like four. They put you in like scenarios. So they're like, what animal would you do? Or then it's like you go to a bathroom downtown, like there's $100 bill, a toilet full of shit, or there's like a $20 bill sitting on the seat in the next toilet. Like, which one are you gonna grab? There's I always heard like we all talk to each other when we're getting interviewed and stuff too, like as players and stuff. So someone was like, "Yeah, I think you should probably say like I'm gonna grab the $100 bill because like I'm not afraid to get dirty or get my hands dirty and stuff." So
yeah.
Would you pick for the animal?
what did I pick for the animal? I think I picked Rhino because our broadcaster, he had all of us had nicknames. as animals. So I think that was the first one that came to mind. Like I remember Coronado was the
Yeah,
bison,
the bison.
and that went viral. So I just said that, and I'm like, yeah, our announcer has names, so that's why I would do that.
Right.
Yeah, we know Coronado had the bison one.
Yeah,
I think it came up like after we interviewed him, because we
yeah.
interviewed him like a long time ago, like way before he was drafted. But I think we asked, like, I think it was Jackson Blake, like how'd the bison come up? And
I honestly had no idea how the bison came up. That one, but that was funny. Like we call him, I still call him Bison today. Like he's from Long Island, so I see him every day because we work out and skate together. But I still call him that, so it's pretty funny.
yeah, that's funny. Oh yeah, I remember Nat, also Predators prospect Adam Ingram. He said Colorado Avalanche guy. He like challenged him to like throw crumpled paper into a rubbish bin.
Really?
Yeah, it was like, are you into competitive games or something? And then they're
Weird.
just like, who can make the most? Which that was kind of wild, but it is what it is. So yeah, Max.
Yeah. So when you did get drafted by Nashville, did you meet any of the players? And if you didn't, if you could get on the ice with anyone right now on the team, who would you get on with?
I did not get to meet any of them because our draft also it was online. So I was in Detroit with a bunch of other of the American prospects because we had our World Junior Camp. So we were all together, which was kind of a cool and unique experience. But if there's one guy, it'd probably be Roman Yossi. Just me being a D man, just seeing what he does, seeing how his brain acts on the ice. Like he's special. So just seeing how he can play the game.
Yeah, that's awesome. And you briefly mentioned again, U20 World Juniors. You represented Team USA. You won bronze, and you did really well. You finished fourth on the team in points, and the guys above you were Cooley, Snuggerud, and Gautier, all first round picks, I believe. So how's it like playing, of course, with Logan Cooley and all those guys, and of course winning a bronze medal, which is huge.
Yeah, it was really cool, especially for me. Like that was my first international tournament where I get to represent the United States. So that was just a really cool experience. And then again, playing with you know all the talent in the world. Guys like Cooley and Snuggerud and Cutter. Like it was just great to watch and great to be able to play with them and make plays with them. Seeing some of the stuff they could do, it's pretty extraordinary, and they're going to carry that in their careers and probably to the NHL. So just getting to play with all those guys, it was a really cool experience.
Yeah, it's sick, Max.
Yeah, I'm a high school goalie, and the odds are I might play a game or two on defense this upcoming year. I got no defense experience, so I know I'm not playing against Matt Coronado and stuff, but what's your advice to shutting down a guy like him?
My advice, honestly, is you don't need to skate backwards to play defense. Skating forward, they kind of taught us that in Chicago was the first time I ever heard of that. And then, I've heard it from there on, but it's kind of really helpful trying to angle guys and, use your stick to take away the middle and then angle them to the boards because then they run out of space. And hockey's all about time and space. So if you could take away that, you limit their options. So, guys like Coronado who come down and, they're pretty deadly on the rush where they could shoot and score, trying to just keep them to the outside, make it an easy save. I think that's your biggest asset.
I'll keep that in mind.
Yeah, totally. So Ryan, thanks so much for the interview. We gotta wrap it up here, unfortunately. But thanks so much, man.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. And of course, to the viewers or the listeners, make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Follow us on podcasts. We're going to be uploading